Hola, Senor Mejac. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Streeter?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Sure.
So first, where are you from?
I grew up in Franklin. Grew up in Franklin most of my life. I was there. My parents still live there. So still in the same house that I grew up in.
Is it true what they say about people from Franklin?
I'm not familiar with what they say with people from Franklin.
I don't either. That's why I was asking. Now,
it's not a very memorable place to grow up. So.
Now, you are known throughout the school for your well-dressed attire. Do you dress for success or do you dress to impress?
Oh, that's a good question. Kind of like a dress well, play well kind of guy.
Okay.
So I think if you dress to impress, that leads to success.
How often do you dress to digress?
Well, it depends if Aaron's in the class. So if he's in the class, then we're going to digress pretty much based on his questions and what he's asking about. So if he's not there, I can keep it on task pretty much. But if he's in the class, there's going to be a lot of digressing going on.
Do you think digressing in Spanish is actually beneficial when the conversation is in Spanish?
That's a good question. There's kind of a natural investment that occurs, and it might lead to you guys actually wanting to stay more in the language. So there's some benefits, but we still have some things to do as far as grammar and literature. So there's only so much, but I get what you're saying.
Now, what's a language you would like to learn one day?
I've always been kind of intrigued by French and Italian just because of the Romance language connections, but I just haven't found the time. So maybe one of those.
Can you give me a start bench cut with Kahoot, Gimkit, and Blookit?
I'm cutting Kahoot right off the bat. I mean, it's one of the originals. But it just hasn't really kept up in my mind with all the changes the other platforms have brought. I'm starting Gimkit, and Blookit's coming off the bench.
Okay. If time flies when you're doing something fun, what's the longest class out of your day?
Probably my link. And it's the shortest one time-wise. So definitely, sorry to my link kids, but it's the link.
Now, if a picture paints 1,000 words, how many words does a picture of a word paint?
Is it approaching some kind of limit? So I'm going to
leave it to the math department.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it to the math department.
All right, sounds good.
And not embarrass myself.
What's the most tiring part of your job, and why is it grading and Robinson rib charts?
You might have me. It's been known to come up with an English meaning that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, we just learned yesterday about that new dialect.
Llanito?
Yeah. I'm going to give you a little quiz on neologisms. Are you familiar with that term? So, first one's easy. Just give me the definition of what you think it is. Rizzy.
Hey, so you're quizzing me on slang.
Yep.
All right, someone with good game. Someone who can pick someone up.
Okay. Nonchalant.
Nonchalant, they just don't care too much. They're kind of lackadaisical.
Now the last one, unk.
I'll just say Shannon Sharp.
Okay, that's a great answer. Sharp. That's a great answer, Senor. And then finally, our last question. Thanks for coming out today. Who's your Mount Rushmore of BC faculty, current or retired?
That's a good question. All right, I'm gonna go. Number one, recent retiree, I'm going Mr. Paesi. I think Mr. Bauer did that too, but I would have gone Mr. Paesi as well. I worked with him pretty closely for about 9 years in a similar role. He's one of the best. I'm going Mrs. Dubiel.
Classic.
She, just retired as well. Came back from Mrs. Mahalik now on a long-term sub, but she literally was like my mom when I got hired. And just, I think a lot of things I do are from her influence. Mrs. Ordnance, also a retiree, but just one of the best people as far as instructionally, but the relationships she had with her students. I've got one more. It's hard to not go Mr. DePello.
Okay.
Just because
it's a common take.
I know the student council thing, all the stuff he does for the students and staff is Mount Rushmore worthy.
Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
That's an interview.